those folks out there that think plastic is the evil stepchild, let me just assure each and every one of you, one container replacing 1,000 plastic containers is a big deal. We solve the recyclability, but more importantly, not all plastics are created the same.
Welcome to Let's Set Your Table, the food service and hospitality podcast that brings you the experts, trending news, and product reviews from across the industry. So grab a chair with your hosts and join us as we set your table.
Well, welcome all to yet another episode of Let's Set Your Table. I'm your host, John D., and I've got a couple of folks with me today. It's going to be a great day. We've got a great lineup today. Nick and Jen Cotta from the OZZI Group. What's going on, guys?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Glad you're here, Jen. Good to see you.
Yeah, Jen.
Good to see you.
Jen's becoming a pro with us now, man. She's on with us all the time. I love it. So anyway, well, guys, we got a great guest joining us today here at the table. Yep. We have the founder of OZZI Reusables. Mm-hmm. What an amazing story this is, and an amazing system and solution. You know, we talk a lot in our business about the 3 R's, right? What are the 3 R's? We talk about reduce,
yep,
reuse,
and what's that?
And
last
recycle,
one? Recycle,
right? Reduce, reuse, and recycle. And this system touches all 3, which is really cool. And it's just a great opportunity to, if you really want to make a impact in the environment and your operation, this is a system and solution to look at. We want to bring our guest in, but before we do that, let's give a shout out to our sponsor, Nick.
Yeah, as always, we could not do this podcast without the support of our awesome company, the OZZI Group, and of course the OZZI Group showroom in Chicago. And this is how this episode is possible and how our show is possible. So we'd like to thank them always.
And they're always available for a in-person appointment or a virtual appointment. Just contact OZZIGroupShowroom.com. That's HODE Group Showroom.com. All right, well, let's introduce our special guest today with us, Mr. Thomas Wright. Tom, welcome to our show. Thanks for being with us today. Tom is the founder of OZZI, the OZZI Reusable System. Welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be with you all. Today is our Super Bowl. If you're in the reusable space, meaning Earth Day, there's not a better time to really talk about what motivates you to do and make changes throughout the world.
That's right. Today is Earth Day. Who knew? Look at that. Perfect timing.
Perfect timing on that one. Couldn't have timed this episode better.
That's right. That's right. Well, Tom, we understand that you've got your professional training. Looks like you trained at Johnson & Wales in Rhode Island. Can you give us a little bit a background on maybe how that led to OZZI?
Surely. So went to Johnson & Wales for an education, and I oftentimes say, boy, I sure did get one. Hung out there for about 25 years, from that of a student to the youngest dean, youngest vice president, senior vice president, launched a lot of big culinary initiatives, had tens of thousands of students graduate during my time there, and really got to travel the world and became what was viewed as a culinary guru. So taking all of that experience and leveraging that, I'm very entrepreneurial, founded the company with a co-founder, Bill Andriozzi, hence where the 4 letters OZZI came from. We filed for patent protection back 12 years ago, and the rest is history.
How did reusables come into this? Because this system is all about reusable.
You know, we're blessed and fortunate in so many ways. The path guided us down a direction where we developed the technology for collection, meaning a reusable program will fail if you don't have accountability. The system is very user-friendly. It's simplistic to use and can be upgraded in a myriad of ways, which we'll talk about today. But it assigns accountability. It's the tracing and tracking of the container to the person who's using the program. It's not meant to be punitive. It's meant to be fun and a rewarding experience and save you a lot of dough.
So go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, I'd love to go a little bit deeper on, Tom, the accountability. Like when you thought about this concept, what's the importance of the accountability for the user and the operator for their end customer? to have that container go out and then come back in?
Surely. So you want to establish a value, an ROI to the container, meaning without getting hundreds of uses out of that container, the impact of using a reusable program is diminished. So what we came up with was a way for a participant in any dining service to be able to say, I'm checking this container out either by making a deposit or an entrance fee. And much like a library, the library book goes out and it's got to be returned. If you don't return it, you're going to end up with empty shelves. So the user experience is quite simple. Check it out, check it back in. A reverse vending machine, which ultimately identifies the container upon return. You push a button and it dispenses a token, and you use that in exchange for your next use. It's literally that simple. Yeah. Pay in once or make a deposit, and away you go.
Yeah.
John?
Jen, when we were up in Chicago recently, Nick and I are up there, and we spent some time together. We got to see that machine firsthand, didn't we, Jen? That was pretty cool.
We did. And what's nice is we do have it available for individuals to come in, see it in action, actually use it, and just see what it's all about live. Because I know it's rare to actually be able to see the machine. Mainly you see it online. So we do have that great access to everyone in Chicago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had that ability, Tom, to actually put our hands on it and use it as if we were in a commercial space. And I have to say compliments to your team in the development of a really cutting edge, easy to use system, not only for the person that is returning a receptacle, but the people that are operating it every day. That's very user friendly, and there's not a lot to it, which is really cool.
What type of an impact have you had in the environment with this OZZI reusable system?
Good question.
Well, if we can be humbly boastful, let me just say that we think over the 10-year period that we've been in business, we have over 500 locations, 11 countries, using the OZZI system in some fashion or another. The actual hard collection data from the machines is north of 11 million containers that have been averted. The bigger picture, where we have a simplistic, less robust, less complicated option with the drop and go or using the carts, we're estimating about 35 million single-use containers have been averted. So that's a pretty sizable impact across the country and now across the globe. We're expanding as we speak in and throughout Europe, Canada, Mexico. So it really has become the global solution for reusables.
And actually, I would love to touch on that thought. Can OZZI help corporate environments, schools, hospitals with their sustainability goals?
Yeah, it's interesting. We started out, I think, primarily because both Bill and I came from the collegiate sector, that we leaned into what we know, right? And lo and behold, in 2016, got a call from a little company called Sodexo. They manage a lot of dining services in hospitals all throughout the country, the world. And they said, we really want to deploy your system, Tom, into healthcare. And I initially pushed back, and begrudgingly they said, we really need you to do this. And we went down that path, and it wasn't too long that we then landed our first military account, in addition to healthcare and hospitals. And then we launched into the B&I sector. With, some major corporations joining, whether it be a BEAV, Freddie Mac World Headquarters, BP out in Texas. We're in and across a multitude of sectors, including Starbucks World Headquarters, where they're using the program in the system.
Nice.
So maybe this is a good time to actually walk us through how an OZZI system works, because you have different. Sure. You've got the university, which we've gotten training recently, which is one of our latest lines. Mm-hmm. You've got the university level, then you have the corporate level, but there's also some in between. Maybe you can help our listeners understand that depending on where you place one of these units, how does the system work with the return system and then tokens and all that?
And I think there we would say that to reach out to your HODI representative, each of those segments, each of those applications are a little different. The culture in organizations is slightly different. We refine a perfect right fit program for your budget as well as what you're trying to optimize, and work in tandem with that HODI representative pulling in that OZZI reuse specialist will hand tailor that program to accomplish your goals. To answer your question directly, Nick, the fun thing about OZZI is it's that simple, meaning you check out a container because you've made a deposit. Now we're integrated into a myriad of point of sales where that can be a virtual credit or it can be a physicality of a token. That's up to, again, the application and the budget and how you're trying to solve your reusable scalability on a campus. But it's then you go enjoy your meal, just like you were eating out of a single-use container. The only difference is it takes the same amount of energies. If the listeners are listening, same amount of energy to throw it away versus return it to a machine. So you make return easy, make it convenient by simply pushing a button. The machine does the rest. It'll notify dining service when it's full. There's a cart below, 275 collections, and they simply get wheeled in the back and washed, much like room service in a hotel. It went up to the room, it got collected, and it's getting reused. And throughout the pandemic, we launched with a company called Redish out of New York, and they now are in multiple major cities where they're offering an actual warewashing service to complement the OZZI collection and system. So the reusable movement has been well underway. The pandemic affected, for any account that paused reusable dining, there was a myriad of accounts that started a reusable program. Senior dining, for example. This week we'll be at a conference for senior dining, and the user experience is so elevated. These can be reheated. They're microwave safe. You can walk through a campus and not have to worry about spilling or leakage because they seal tight, and they can be refrigerated and meals heated up again in the microwave using the containers. That's what makes it. It wasn't just the solution of the system itself. Was as we went down this journey over the years, we created a complete line of reusable products designed to work perfectly with a reusable platform.
And I'll tell you, Jen and Nick, we spend a lot of time in our day talking to the culinary pros and the operators and the professionals about their packaging needs. And we spent a lot of time talking about, their containers, because a lot of them like to use the hinge containers for their takeout or leftovers. And there's sometimes a little bit, I think, that leaves a lot to be desired regarding the functionality of that container. And what's nice about the OZZI actually reusable container is the fact that there is that snap seal on it. And maybe not a completely leak-proof, but definitely more functional, I would say. Absolutely. What do you guys say? What I think it's huge.
I completely agree. It's very durable, and it's definitely leak resistant, and the latch really does close securely. And another thing that I discovered, which I think is great that OZZI does, is they can also customize the containers as well as the OZZI machine. So I think that's great to have, the marketing of their company as well as using the machine. So it's great.
Yeah, and for those listening, we're going to leave you a lot of pictures and some content, and in our show notes attached to this podcast. It's truly some eye candy. It's amazing what you can do with this system. And Tom, there's got to be some huge financial benefits to using this system.
Sure. So, never more timely with all of the tariff discussion that's going on.
Exactly.
Everything we do at OZZI is made right here in the USA. So from the machines themselves, they're constructed in Rhode Island, and our containers are all manufactured out of Oregon. We've got worldwide distribution through FedEx, but ultimately that simplicity of made in the USA is a big efficiency on the finance page, coupled with the fact that, A container has been wear tested for up to 1,000 uses. With just 10 uses, you have already monetized your investment. We have companies, schools, military bases within 8 months paying for their complete system. The machines are very robust. They've collected hundreds of thousands of containers without needing any service. We do remote in. We do upgrade those systems remotely through the tech support, extended warranty, and that keeps everything working optimally. But it's not a finicky design machine or very sensitive, or it's a durable, robust metal construction, industrial strength style collection process.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think the other thing, John, to answer your question, health departments, I had to testify before health departments when we first launched OZZI. And the beauty of our system is the systems sit outside the dining service. So never does a dirty container get used again, meaning I washed it out in the office sink, I want to reuse it, or I washed it out in my dormitory room, meaning all containers are required to be returned to the system, validated, credited to the user, and dining service then picks them up, washes them, and reissues them just like they would a plate or a disposable single use. So it's that kind of accountability, that kind of economy that we've built into the system.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Tom, we were talking earlier about the hinge snap, and Jen, you had mentioned leak resistant. I think it would be totally a good time to bring up the kind of sizes that what we're talking about. We're talking about hinge containers, but Tom, can you go through the current sizes that OZZI offers, and especially maybe we can talk about a little bit, because we are a eco products rep. Talk a little bit about Veda and how when you work with us at Hody Group, how we are going to show this packaging and what it's going to look like at the end product. And actually, I went and I grabbed a couple. So Tom, as you're talking, I'm going to hold a couple up so we
good idea, Nick.
Show to our listeners at home.
Thank you for being my Vanna White, Nick. Appreciate that. Yes, clearly they are, in fact, a clamshell design container. Veda currently is offered in both 9x9 single and 3 compartment, 8x8, both single and 3 compartment. And the only difference is really the volume of food. If you're trying to maintain food costs, you obviously go with the smaller container or portion size. We have a 6x9, a 5x5, and a 16-ounce soup. That's the 5x5 that Nick is holding up. And with that, we have a series of bowls that are now complementing the 16-ounce, and that is a smaller 8-ounce for a small portion and a 24-ounce. And those are two-piece design, Nick. And then we're currently finishing the tooling for a complete expansion of our cup line. We had a 16-ounce screw-down lid, which was a little bit costly because of the complexity of the design. We now are coming out with a family of cups, both a 12, 16, and 22 ounce. Those will actually be showcased this year at the National Restaurant Association. So the whole family of products makes up about 12 different sizes. And as Jennifer so pointedly made out, the fact that we make them in your choice of color, and those can be custom embossed, not printed on, but molded in. And those are some unique characteristics of the OZZI containers.
And two points to that that I want to follow up on. Thanks, Tom, for that explanation. Nick, thanks for grabbing the containers. The OZZI machine and the actual smaller collection bins can be also logoed correct with skins.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Branding is essential. It's important to adapt a reusable program to a culture. That culture needs to reflect the core values of the corporation or wherever it's being deployed. So therefore, we really give everyone a blank palette and say, here's what we have as standard, and these can be customized. And at time of order, that's done at no additional charge. Think about that. So that branding, that how do we make it personal? How do we make our employees or our students use it? if it's branded, it becomes part of their culture. They're very prideful of the fact that they've chosen an alternative to single use.
Even corporate loyalty, corporate brands for corporations and their dining facilities, absolutely. The other question that I had, based on what you were sharing as far as some of the new, R&D you're doing, I noticed in the POS that you gave us, the actual catalog, if you will, the product catalog, you also mentioned cutlery kits. Is that true?
That is, and we're about to make some major announcement on a brand new line of cutlery that's completely plant-based and
awesome.
washable. You'll be able to wash it
Wow.
and have it withstand
That's
hundreds
awesome.
of uses. So again, we are going to be at the forefront of design, of shapes, of what the industry is demanding, and my new relationship with Novalex as an investor in the company has enabled us to really scale OZZI and be at that forefront as it relates to tooling, manufacturing, new design. Our bench strength has never been bigger from the standpoint of
Right.
our designers, our engineers, our chemists. So we're at the forefront of pure perfection of the containers. I'm proud to say last year we did not have one product failure. And the machines have 100% warranty from time of purchase. And we had two machines that required an actual service call. That was it. So again, robust
That's
designed to work and work repeatedly. And that's where the built-in ROI. Oftentimes, we get a group of very passionate people about the earth, about the planet. And ultimately, when dining service finds out that there's economies of scale and savings in this, it's really a two-for-one. It's an easy sell. Because again, Nick, you started out, and John, you emphasized that OZZI is a solution. And that's what we set out to do, provide the industry with a solution. Take all of the years of industry experience, leveraged into building a solution, and now scaling that with the effort of the OZZI Group and others to say, we've got a real, easy, reusable initiative that can be implemented with such ease and perfection and ensure that user experience.
Yeah.
It sounds like it. I mean, it sounds like that's totally what's happening right now. When you think about what we just talked about with the R&D, with the cutlery and the cup, what you essentially have done and what you're very close to doing is you've completed the dining experience, with the exception of maybe, they might pick up, let's say in a university, they go through their line, they fill their containers up with food, but then they check out, they grab their cutlery, or it's already bundled with something because they've gotten an issue. But then their cup, they go to the soda dispenser, they fill it up or whatever their beverage choice is, and they go enjoy their food, with the exception of maybe grabbing a napkin over by, a station or something. But it's pretty much complete. And that's pretty awesome. I'm like excited about that.
Well, thank you. Your excitement is infectious, Nick. And, it's interesting. Back 10 years ago, I would say that reusables was a fad. It was viewed as something that's going to, fan itself out. And then the pandemic hit. And we talked briefly about that earlier. The reality is it's never been more cool to use reusables. And now because of the tariffs, it's a true solution. So we are now in an epic growth stage whereby the calls and the request for information and details as an alternative is now a necessity, because it's either being driven by consumer demand, by expectation of food service and dining, or because they need an alternative to the high cost of single-use packaging, coupled with some of it is being legislated against. We didn't have a chance yet, John, to talk about our High Five program. And,
I was just going to bring up, because that fits the last R, or one of the R's, which of course is recycle. Go ahead.
I love what you did there. I was motivated. I was in Washington, D.C. We were upgrading our installations. We have 10 systems for about 10,000 employees at Freddie Mac. Went over to the World Plastic Forum as a guest, and I sat there. And it was with a great heavy heart that I left that meeting, that presentation. I was in the room with all the biggies, Procter & Gamble, Coca-Cola, just to name a few. And they basically said, manufacturers, industry, we're relying on you to solve this recyclability problem. And walked out of there, and a whole host of us band together. And there's a group that formed a company called Pure Cycle. And Pure Cycle is absolutely an incredible entity. And we were fortunate and blessed in so many ways to be one of the first to enable our users of our containers to open up a new box of containers. And if they have any end of life, simply put them in the box, put a label on it at no cost to them. And it goes directly to recycling, purification, and that becomes a pure product again. So we solved the end-of-life solution. We don't rely upon cities or towns to solve our recycling initiative. So not only are we made in the USA, but we're certainly not about to start trashing the USA, meaning we've got an alternative, and that solution is real.
That's right. That's right. Back to the 3 R's, right? So reduce, reuse, recycle. And again, OZZI, the OZZI system hits all three of them, which is great. And, I've been doing this for 12 years and talking the green and talking operators into looking towards green, those that want to make that statement within their operation. And I just think the amount of money that you spend on a disposable container for takeout or leftovers, this whole reusable thing, depending on, of course, the industry vertical you're in, really makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely. Application is key, and what problem you're trying to solve. I think it'll always be a three-legged stool, single-use plastic, compostable, and now reusable. All three are going to be needed, and it's why one of the largest packaging companies in the world said, we need to do a better job, and we're going to invest in OZZI. And I think they clearly saw their responsibility to greater sustainability practices throughout the world, that the world is in fact changing. So again, for any of those listeners out there that think, okay, this is cool, this is on Earth Day, and this is a fad or, a trend, I think it's here to stay, and I think it's going to come in epic fashion with epic growth, and it's really fun to be a part of that movement.
Yeah. I love your line here on the 2025 product catalog. At OZZI, we believe in taking out food, not the planet. And that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I like that. And then the one that you said earlier, Tom, sorry, I didn't want to forget it. How did you say we're not about trashing America? How did you word that? Because that was really good too.
Well, thank you, Nick. I think it's funny. We have a whole bunch of what we call nuances as to how we approach it without trying to be too full of ourselves or too offensive. And we at OZZI try to stay humble and realize that it's going to take the collective we. It's going to take everyone to be willing to say there's got to be a better way, and that we're willing to make that investment for the future generations. And for those folks out there that think plastic is the evil stepchild, let me just assure each and every one of you, one container replacing 1,000 plastic containers is a big deal.
That's
we
a big
solve
deal.
the recyclability, but more importantly, not all plastics are created the same. Ours are BPA free. They are medical grade plastic, meaning the same plastic bag that you're injecting into your bloodstream for IVs or for medicine, that same formulation of the product, FDA approved, is how we manufacture our product. And then lastly, there's a rigorous process called NSF, National Food Safety, and they are the arbiter of truth. Anything within the food service industry, they maintain the standards for health departments, and our containers have all gone through that rigorous testing for NSF standing, including we just put our brand new prototype cups through that very same process. So we'll be the only one, I think, in the industry offering an NSF grade reusable cup, durable enough for 1,000 uses.
That's
one
outstanding.
Universal lid. So it's easy. There's no concern for fitability or functionality.
Well, listen, guys, our time has just flown by like it always does. But real quick, let's talk 30 seconds because we got to close out this episode. Let's talk about the sample policy for Veda. How does that work?
Sure. So for all the Hody listeners, obviously you know how to find Hody, and they will install process for a sample request to go directly to you and to follow that up with any and all details and putting you in touch with an OZZI reuse solution specialist. Together with Hody, we'll solve your reusable problems and help you to launch a wonderful initiative.
That's right. And Jen, we've got that covered between the showroom, right, Nick, and all of us right here.
Oh, yeah. The Hody Group's got you covered for all the sample requests you can need and the information to help place this in one of your properties. We can take care of that for you.
Well, listen, we're going to have to leave it right here. I cannot believe how much time went by quickly. Happy Earth Day, and have a great Earth Week. Yeah, woohoo! Let's get on this. If you'd like to reach any of us here at the Hody Group or OZZI, please check out our show notes attached to this podcast for our contact information. Also, please like, follow, and share the Let's Set Your Table podcast. And if you're so moved, we would be grateful if you leave us a positive review on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube Music. We're also on Podbean. Would encourage you to leave us your comments, feedback, or questions. We really would love your engagement and your involvement in this. And if you have any topics you want us to talk in future episodes, I know we're going to be talking with Tom again. We're going to maybe do a little bit more deeper dive. We would love to hear from you. So we'll see you again right here next time at the table.
Please join us again for another episode of Let's Set Your Table. If you would like more information, samples, or would like to consult with the Hody Group, visit thehodygroup.com. That's HODE group.com.